Do you ever get overwhelmed when trying to make hard trap beats that actually hit? Don't stress, because in this trap beat tutorial, I'm breaking down the 3 main factors that are holding your trap beats back. Plus, I'll show you the secret weapon that I've been using to level up my trap beats. Now let's open up Ableton and get to work. To get started, grab any sound. I typically like to use a high quality piano because it's well rounded and easy to work with. To get that darker trap vibe, you're going to need a minor scale, so I chose D sharp minor, and the tempo for this beat's going to be 155 BPM. Start by penciling in a top line melody. Most producers start with basic patterns like this that are usually too gridlocked and not dark enough. The first problem is a weak bass. Think of your trap beat like building a fire pit. If the ground is wet, messy, or debris filled, it'll just suck the life out of the fire. Your melody is that bass. If it's weak, the whole beat loses its impact. So how do we fix it? By adding movement and more tension. Using half steps like these create dissonance, which is where the darkness lives. And then by adding chords and passing notes, and then varying the velocity a little bit, you can humanize it. So I'll start over and see if we can build a better melody. So now you can see that I've extended all these notes out to make it feel a little more human, and we've got these notes a lot closer together so it feels and sounds a little more dark. Now I'm going to go down in my piano roll a little bit and we're going to start adding some root notes. Now I think those are sounding pretty good, so we can take these and build out some basic triads. So to do that, you can start by skipping a note in your scale, placing one on the third, and then skipping the next note and placing one on the fifth. And then one thing I've been liking to do a lot is get rid of the middle notes and turn them into power chords. And you can instantly hear how that sounds darker after you remove the middle notes. And then finally, I like to scroll down and grab my bottom notes and then copy them down an octave. And then finally, what you want to do is you want to highlight all the notes and then drag your velocity up to 100%. And then this slider here is the randomize. You can drag that down a little bit and you can see how the velocity starts randomizing a little bit to give it that more human feel. Come over into clip tools on the left. And then I like to grab this humanize bar and drag it to about 20 to 25%. Hear the difference? Now the melody is fuller, more natural, and way darker. Now even though the melody is solid, the wrong sound selection can make your beats fall flat. So the second problem I see in a lot of producers is proper sound quality and layering. For example, this is a bad sound choice for making trap beats. Now, although this kind of sounds like something you would hear in a trap beat, it's not quite there, and you would need a lot of processing to get it where you would need it to be. Think back to that fire pit. You've built the solid base, but now you need dry, seasoned hardwood. If you throw in wet or fresh logs, you're just going to get smoke. It's the same with making trap beats. Using sounds that don't typically fit the genre will immediately suck the life out of your beat. So let's layer in the right sounds to bring this to life. That's a really good start, so I like that one. And then I'm going to duplicate this down one more time. And now you don't have to stop there. You can keep looking for sounds to layer in. I'm thinking something orchestral. I've really been liking this Guarneri violin. And then so it's not so rigid, you could drag your notes out a little bit. That way they overlap. And then one thing that always makes your beat sound darker is adding a respace that follows along with the bass notes of your piano. I've also found that adding textures helps make everything feel darker and a little more cohesive. I've been liking to put layerizer on a return track and then send the entire melody to that return track and then find a good preset that I like. And then what I like to do is grab one of my blank audio tracks, drag it into my melody group, then set it to resampling, and then solo the layerizer. and then record that in. And then I'm going to grab tremolo. And then one final thing you could do to see if you're missing anything is add co-producer onto your master channel and then let it listen to the audio. So you can either type in a prompt or just let it find samples, but I think we could probably go for a nice guitar sound. So I'm going to say dark guitar loop for, let's see what that finds. So this guitar loop sounded really good. And all I did was add some corrective EQ, a delay, and a reverb. If you're struggling to find good sounds for your trap melodies, the easiest way to find direction is to visualize how you want your final beat to sound. Do you want a smooth beat? Do you want a gritty beat? Do you want a super dark beat? Once you know exactly the vibe you're going for, you can filter sounds that fit that vibe instead of aimlessly scrolling through presets. A good rule of thumb is that to make trap beats sound heavy and dark, you'll want to use more orchestral instruments like dark pianos, string ensembles, violins, choirs, or airy vocals. And if you want to reach for some synth sounds, you're going to want to lean towards things like bells, plucks, gritty synths and basses, and definitely respaces. And now that the melody's starting to sound good, I'll add some drums. As usual, I'll start with the snare and the hi-hat. Don't forget about the second problem when you're programming your drums though. Drums are usually the driving force of a trap beat, so you need really high quality samples so your beat doesn't fall flat. This is why I want to show you my secret weapon that has been making my trap beats hit way harder this year. Today I'm launching my first ever trap bundle called the Grim Trap Bundle. I got so sick of searching for the perfect sounds to make my beats stand out and still ending up having to tweak them. So I decided to make a full trap production suite of roughly 900 loops and samples completely from scratch. I mean, the drum kit itself has over 400 samples in it, which is crazy. The whole bundle has a drum kit, melody kit, one-shot kit, phrase kit, and an effects kit. Every single sound has been handcrafted and processed to be perfect for making trap beats with as little processing on your end as possible. My trap beats have never sounded better since I started using it, so I know it's going to help level up your trap beats as well. And right now, it's on sale for almost 50% off for launch week. And don't worry, if you're just looking for drum sounds, the Raven drum kit from the bundle is on sale solo for just 20 bucks. Get your copies while they're on sale now at djcontour.com, and I'll make sure to leave links in the pinned comments and the description. I think I'm going to grab an open hat here. Kind of like that one. And then I'm going to add an accent clap as well. And then what I like to do with percussion hits is fill in any gaps between the main hits. And finally, it's time for an 808. The melody and the drums are hitting, but there's one final move that's going to separate this from an idea to a finished beat. Let's circle back to the fire pit one last time. You've got the bass and the seasoned wood, but stack it all wrong and it suffocates. It needs solid structure so the flame can actually take hold. The third problem is levels in space. The main thing most producers do in their trap beats is have their low end and their 808 way too loud. So I'm going to address that first. I'm going to bring mine down to about -16. And if I turn that and turn my respace back on, I'm going to do the same thing. And now I can hear that the kick isn't quite punching through the way I want it to. But one of the biggest things I see producers do in the mixing stage is to start reaching for EQs, compressors, or effects plugins to try and fix weak sounds. I used to do this too, but I realized that 90% of the time, almost all of your issues can be solved just by adjusting the volume slider. Although the kick sounds weak now, I'm going to grab my volume slider and just boost it up. Now you can hear that it's immediately cutting through the mix, and all I did was adjust the volume. And now the top end is a little bright and a little sibilant. There are two things you could do to fix this. So to start, I'll take an EQ on the melody bus and take out a little bit of the high end. The reason I like to reach for an EQ first, because as I filter out the highs, it'll naturally make the sounds quieter. So if I do volume adjustments first, I might have to correctively boost them back up after I EQ. Next, I like to pan similar sounds on opposite sides of the spectrum so they're not fighting each other. So for instance, I'll take my bell and my pluck, and I'll take one to the left, and I'll take one to the right. And you feel how that opens it up a little bit and they're not fighting for space in the middle. And then now what I'll do is I'll open those and I'll take all the low end out. That'll keep them from fighting for space with the piano. And then after that, you can process them a little bit to push them back in space some more. So I'm going to group them together and then I'll put a little bit of reverb on them. And then the piano is supposed to be one of the main elements because it's straight up the middle, but you can hardly hear it, so we're going to boost that up a little bit. And then you can hear the same thing with the hi-hats. They're a little too bright, so I'm going to open up our mixer. And then we'll pull them down a tiny bit. And then boost our snare a touch. And then the final thing I see is producers layering low-end sounds over top of each other. So we know we have a respace and an 808. Those can't play at the same time. So what we'll do is we'll duplicate our section. And then in the first one, we won't have the drums. And then in the second one, we're going to get rid of the respace. That way, when the 808 kicks in, it's not fighting for space. Now you can see that by focusing on 3 simple things, the beat sounds way bigger and way cleaner. If you learned something from this video, let me know in the comments. And don't forget to grab your copy of the Grim Trap Bundle or the Raven Drum Kit right now while they're on sale. After this week, they both go up to full price, so don't miss out. If you want to see a breakdown of the whole bundle, or watch more of my trap production tutorials, click here.